Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
for trucks, obviously.
On the lot.
He became steel resistant.
Hello and welcome to another podcast here for Earthworks Hub. I'm your host, Ivan Orlovic, and today we're going to do one of our Hub Club panel sessions where we get a group of guys in the industry to sit down and talk about various topics. So I've got three lovely young gentlemen here ready to chat. Let's go through. So guys, introduce yourselves. Let's start maybe with Jack. Just say your name and your company. I'm sure most people have seen us talk here before, but just for anyone that's new. So who we got there, Jack?
Jack Healy from EMBA Hire in Echuca.
All right. And who else is there? Alex?
Yeah, Alex McBride, ADM Civil and Landscape, based in the Blue Mountains, Western Sydney. That's where I do all my work.
Beautiful, man. And we got James as well.
Yep, James Lawton from Precision Environmental, based down in West Gippsland, just outside of Warragul.
That's it, boys. So we're everywhere. We've got guys from representing everything, every part. Oh, and Jack's from Echuca, Moama, yes? Hence the EMBE part of the business name. Is that right, yeah?
That's correct.
Right. Yeah, like that. Yeah, there you go. Alex is showing his little drink holder there.
Was either that on the calendar?
Yeah, no calendar.
I chose that.
Yeah, none of that calendar business today. Yeah, no, it's good to have you boys on here. Thank you very much for joining me. We're going to talk about a couple of topics that I've thought of, and I haven't really given you guys a heads up, so it is going to be a bit fresh for you guys. But we'll do our best. I'm open to hear what you guys think about these topics. And yeah, be honest, be brutal, be honest, whatever you want to say. It all goes here on Earthworks Hub. Let's go. The first one. So some of these things I'm going to ask are from experiences I've had within the industry, and some are from what I've heard other guys have had and conversations, and some of them are what people have asked me about. All right. The first one is I'm going to give a scenario, and then we'll all talk about what you would do in that circumstance. And I'm sure some of you have been in this case. So if you've got your own machines, you might know some other subbies with their own machines as well, most likely. And sometimes we know that we all get a little bit busy and we ask each other for help. So in this scenario, you've got a friend that's a subcontractor, a customer that he regularly works for or services, calls him up for a job and he can't make it. So he calls you and says, hey, listen, can you give me a chop out? If you're free tomorrow, can you send your machine in and do the job for him? So you go in there, you do the job for your mate. And at the end of the day, the customer says, oh, I'm really, really happy with you. Can I book you in for another day? What would you guys do? What's your opinion on that?
I'll go first. So for me personally, I just I don't do that to other subbies and stuff. I straight up just go, oh, look, you'd have to go through them first. I like to be pretty loyal to the other guys because, at the end of the day, they've given you the job and, there's more of those to come. Even if it is for a big builder, I like to do the right things by my mates. I've always found that honesty works the best because it's like if you tell them, hey, look, they're chasing me to do another one and they go, no worries, then go for it. But for me personally, I've been in that situation and I found that you actually get a lot more respect by just saying, nah, look, I'd love to help you out. This person A is your client. I really like to, them client of mine and mate of mine, and we all work in together. And like up here, there's plenty of works. I don't know. I just don't like burning bridges or anything like that, and just keep everyone on the same board and be honest with everyone. Just go, hey, look, happy to help you out, but I've got to tell old mate, and if he's got a free machine, I don't know. But that's me personally.
Yeah.
So
Good. Well, what do you boys think? What do you do in that situation? Either one, Jack, James, either
Yeah,
one?
no worries. Yeah, no, pretty similar response to what Alex said. Like, obviously, you do that initial job to, take some workload for a friend in business. But if they want to do anything further from that, exactly what Alex said, I'd be saying go and engage your original client first and have a chat with them. And then they can come and see me if they're happy for me to do more work, because I certainly wouldn't do it. If they asked and just said, "Oh, look, on the quiet," if you're offering an identical service and you're essentially like, I wouldn't say competing businesses, but businesses that work in the same area of civil and earthworks, especially, yeah, you don't want to be just saying, "Okay, well, yeah, I'll just run with it and go and start doing more work for you," because obviously that diminishes the relationship that your other friend in the business has built. And business, as we know, it's all based relationship based, and there's tons of work out there for all of us if we know how to find it and are good at it. So yeah, I wouldn't jump on it straight away. I'd be saying go and engage the original person, and if they're happy with it, or if it's even a discussion to be had, then they can come to me and we can work something out. Yeah.
Yeah. And what about yourself, Jacko?
Yeah, no, same deal, mate. Just give them a ring first, and if they don't want to do it, then I'll come around and do it for you. But if you don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
definitely agree. Would you call your mate up as well and just double check that the customers called them and just
Yeah.
to see whether or not they've actually contacted them and let them know about that job?
I do. I like to be honest with them. I like to, once you get caught lying in business, it's a slippery road of shit that you got to put yourself in. Just be honest with everyone. If you go and do the sneaky job, you might score on one job, but then if you lose 10 down the road, it's for nothing. So just honesty, and everyone appreciates it, and you keep yourself to a high standard.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what other people do. Oh, well, that's how I see myself. I'd rather be honest and look after people who look after me.
Yeah. Because I always I would usually say, even if the customers ask me whether or not he goes back to my friend and ask him to continue or not, I would still call my friend anyway and just say, hey, listen, the customer approached me, just letting you know. I've told them just to come back to you, just in case the shit hits the fan somewhere down the line and they say, oh, you're trying to poach my customers and that. You can say, no, man, I spoke to you about it. You already know. So that's what I would do. What do you guys think?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you can ever really go wrong from communicating too much, especially when it comes to either customers or the people you work with or work alongside. Yeah, I think if you just like an open book with it and always keep them updated with what's going on, and I think it's good policy to, in that situation, to go and call one of your the friend that you normally do a lot of subcontract work for and just say, hey, look, this is what's happened. They're probably going to call again and ask if I do more work. What do you think? Let's have a chat. I reckon that's all it has to be.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. What about you, Jacko? What do you reckon?
Oh, yeah, it's a bit of a funny subject for me because we probably don't really come across it. Like I've definitely done jobs and for other people, and they've said we'll give you a ring next time. But we're that small of a town where we are, that just doesn't fly. Like it just doesn't work like that. I know who does whose work, and I know, like there's plenty of the blokes, the older fellas especially, they'll go away for 2 months of the year, and one of my other fellas will take on their whole client base for 2 months, and they'll come back and they'll get them back. Like that's probably a bit different
Yeah.
in the
It's
country.
probably a good point actually. What if your friend doesn't actually call you to go and do the job for the customer, but so for instance, a customer approaches you and you know that your mate usually, or someone that another subby usually services that client. What happens then? So your mate hasn't actually asked you to go and do the job for him. It's just the customer turning up to you randomly and saying, "Hey, can you help us out?" What would you do then? Would you still do the same thing, or would you just go ahead and do it?
Yeah, still chat to them for sure, because there could be a very good reason why they're also the client's customer shopping around. There could be something in that. But yeah, it would still be worth a phone call. Similar to Jack, like where we are, especially because like our business, I'm a little bit niche. There's quite a lot of like there's a fair few quite good earth movers in my area, in my region. So I'm not the only one around that's doing earthworks, and there's a lot of operators out there that are better than me, and so I tend to find I get work for other earthworks and civil people's clients when it's something that's a little bit niche that they might not necessarily do. So, for example, I did one for a plumber a while ago that was doing a subdivision, and I was there doing the forestry mulching around his creek line and cleaning up blackberries. And there was another earth mover coming in, dropping fill in, who was going to be starting to, change all the grades and start doing the bulk. Yeah, that's sort of the situation we get at home. But, I had a customer approach me and I knew that someone else in the industry had worked for them and had a relationship with them for a long time or an established relationship, yeah, I'd be calling that person for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. Like, there's the other reason you should be calling is to find out why they're not using them anymore. Like, are they just shopping around because they're not paying and owing a lot of people money, so they're just shopping around to get the next supplier or contractor? Yeah, that's a good point, man. What do you reckon, Jack? Would you still call the person even if the customer just approach you directly without?
It probably really depends on the situation, I suppose. Like, it depends what they're ringing for. If they're ringing for, just a digger with a 300 bucket, then yeah, probably. If they ring for something with a 1200 auger, then I'm not going to ring old mate because I know he hadn't got one. Like, it all sort of depends on the situation.
Yeah, yeah. And Alex, what do you think of that?
So, I've had clients and stuff. Like, I've been subbing to people in all this situation. I've had a lot of different situations that are all the same concept. But I just always, I don't know, if you someone's paying to be on a job, it's not right that you
Yeah,
like if if you've rocked up and if they've called you out of the blue, I I would still even just as a courtesy to your other client, hey, and like I've done this before, like, oh hey, just so you know, client that we did that job for, they've called me out of the blue. I don't know where they got my number from, but I'm just letting you know that they've called me to quote on a job or whatever it is.
yeah,
It's like, do you have a problem with it? And most of the time they just go, oh, well, they've called you out of the blue. They've just seen the work you've done and they've liked it. But
yeah,
if they get funny about it, I'd just rather be safe and
yeah,
be transparent, because if it's on the other shoes on the other foot and someone does it to you, are you going to be upset?
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
it's interesting actually on that. Recently, I've been on the other end of it and
Mm.
granted, this earth mover that's done some work doesn't know me too well, but we do know each other. And we live literally 10 minutes around the corner from each other. I've got a long-standing private client and they're a private client. They're not a commercial client whatsoever. So they're not a builder. They're not a developer. They're not a school or anything like that. Just a private client with a large property that we've done a couple of site cuts for and some drainage work and everything. And I was they were going to get me to come back and do a little bit of just skid steer work with one of our higher skid steers um, to do a bit of smudging work and a bit of tidying up work and everything. And they sort of just kept putting the brakes on it. And I stopped reminding them, or they stopped, reminding me that was coming up. And I thought, okay, well, that's fine. They just don't have the money at the moment. And then funnily enough, I kind of found out because they put up a post on a local community group page trying to get rid of a whole bunch of fill.
yeah,
And I looked and went, oh, geez, there's a couple hundred cube of fill just sitting there that they're trying to get rid of. What have they had done? And then I'm friends with these people and, have them on Facebook and everything as well. And then they're putting up photos of their new horse and new foal and stuff like that. And I can see in the background, there's this big stockpile of material and a 5-tonner sitting on top of it.
yeah,
And I'm pretty certain I know who the earth mover is that did the work, but I never had any notification from him. And so I think maybe him and I don't know each other that well, but if we saw each other in the street, we'd stop and chat and everything else, know each other enough to be acquaintances. And
yeah,
yeah, but being a private client on their own property, they can shop around for whoever they want. But I did notice it. And I did kind of find out via social media a little bit, which, I've got plenty of work going on at the moment, but it just makes me question, okay, well, what are the reasons that they chose to go with someone else? Because I'm always available for them. So they're a client I've been working for about 5 years now, who are fantastic people, great payers, always have an interesting project to do and have always been happy with their work. But it does, and I started asking questions over the last couple of days and I was thinking, shit, what have I done wrong?
yeah,
Has something I've done not worked? We did a site cut and a rock wall for them a while ago, and I wonder if, maybe they've had the shed builder turn up and they've said the design that you've picked isn't going to fit into this cut now, or, where we want to start, putting in, some of the structure, it's going to end up hitting the rocks he's put in or whatever, and I haven't been told about it. So, yeah, it got me sort of
yeah,
second guessing myself a little bit. So I've sort of been on the other end of it, which feels a bit strange. It's funny we sort of talk about it now, but at the same time, they can choose whoever they want. But, yeah, I definitely didn't find out via the earth mover that did it.
Yeah, yeah. Would you ever approach him? What would you do in that circumstance now? Would you ever go up to him as the one that you think it might be and say, "Hey, man, what's going on?"
No, I don't reckon I've got an established enough relationship with him to sort of really even bother. Like, it's not going to send me broke not working for these people. However, I loved working for them. There's just a bit of sort of wonder that if I saw him down the street, I'd probably bring it up in passing, but it wouldn't be the topic of conversation.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard of some guys getting really territorial, and then if anyone if someone comes into their territory and starts doing work, they actually come down to the site, approach them, and say, "Hey,
Wow.
what the hell are you doing
We've
here?"
never been like that. Same with Jack, and
Yeah.
Jack knows this. Living in a small country area, that sort of stuff doesn't fly. Like, if you went and did that to someone, your relationship and your reputation in the area would just be, would certainly take a hit from doing anything like that. I care about my business. I care about, the relationship I have with my clients and everything, but I definitely don't care about it enough to get overly upset about it or stroppy over it. But it does make me ask some questions, because then I've second guessed myself on this work that I've done for them now. So,
Yeah.
however, they are direct enough people that I have faith that if there was a major problem, they would approach me about it. So yeah, I don't really know, to be honest. Can't really work it out.
A quick shout out to our platinum sponsors, Earth Moving Warehouse and Melbourne Tractors. Yeah, yeah. What do you boys think? Everyone, was someone going to say something? I thought I heard someone starting to say something.
Oh, I just said fuck that.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, I've worked out of town, and I've drunk at the pub with the local earth movers, and they've noticed me, and I just say, oh, look, I got the call. I'm not from around here. I'm just here for a week. I'm on this property. Oh yeah, no, fuck that one. You
Yeah.
can have it. All right, sweet, cool.
Yeah.
We'll have a beer. Let's talk.
Yeah.
But when you you can't. I don't know. Around here, I know earth movers that think that they own all the work in the Blue Mountains, and I know earth movers who feel like they own certain type of work around, and without naming names, it just trying to squash the smaller guys and scare them off, and the new guys who are coming through, and like I don't go in a new area and just go, like, you can never go. You shouldn't bash anyone else's work, but you should never hinder other people from coming in and keeping the market competitive.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like, just because we all own machines, that we're not the only people in Australia who own them. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many out there, so many 5-tonners out. I've got a 5-tonner buggy. There's a million of them out there. I specialise in what I do, and there's not many people who can do what I do. There is, but not as many who have their own gear.
Yeah.
So that's how I set myself up differently. If someone calls me for a house cut,
Yeah.
90% of earth movers can do a house cut.
Yeah.
Nothing special. I don't know. I don't like talking badly about other people, and I don't like other people talking badly about other people because they go and work in an area, and I don't know.
You've
We've all
just
got it along.
You reminded me, sorry, I was just saying, you guys are just reminding me of the situation I was in. Maybe this is a good one. So this is a while back now. So I did a little bit of work for a builder for a job out in the West, because that's where I am. And then I did another couple of jobs later on, not for this builder, for someone else. And I met a plumber there, and we were having a good chat. And he said, "Oh, I've got a builder I work for, and he needs someone to do a site cut. Do you reckon you can do it?" And I said, "Yeah, no worries. I quoted it all up and stuff." Actually, he said, go over there and just tack on a little bit more, and then just give me a bit of a commission for getting the job for you. And I said, all right, no worries. So when I got to the job, it was that builder that I've worked for in the West, but this was a job out in the East. So I said to the builder, "Hey, what the hell? What's going on here?" I said, "I didn't realize this was for you." And he goes, "Yeah, no, this is we're starting to do some jobs here." And I said, "Why didn't you call me?" And he goes, "Oh, because I didn't know you'd come this far to do some jobs." I said, "All right, no worries. Do I still give a bit of a commission to the plumber because he sort of helped me get that job, or do I not, because that's a customer I've already had in the past? What do you guys reckon?" And then I'll tell you what I did. Yeah.
It's a tough one.
Have you ever
I
had
don't
that?
know.
Have you ever had jobs like that where people say, like, "Oh, if you go and if I get you this job, just give me a bit of a cut"? Do you ever get that?
No. And I don't believe that's fair on the customer, so I think that's probably a very Melbourne fucking thing.
Yeah. Yeah. James is laughing. Yeah.
Fucking rip off, you cunts. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never I've never done that. Like I've referred people work, I've got people work, and I've had people refer me work and got me work. I've never really asked for a cut out of it. Yeah,
The job's worth what the job's
look,
worth.
yeah, exactly, and it swings and roundabouts. Like especially in the areas that we live in, like you'll get it back somehow. Tend to find the more help we offer, or the more you try and sort of help out, most of the time you'll get it back in one way.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff happens on the roadworks down there, doesn't it? On the union jobs.
Oh,
Isn't that
apparently.
what happened?
Apparently so. Apparently.
$5,000 a go.
$5,000.
Yeah.
Five grand
What
to
a
keep
fucking
working.
dog.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, apparently so. Luckily, thankfully, I don't have to really touch any of that side of civil, which is good. So yeah, I'm pretty sheltered from that.
Not happening on the Sydney Tunnel, see? Very Melbourne orientated thing, that.
Yeah,
Mm.
definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, no, that guy made, we worked out if you did, how many people was it? 100 people. And was it 100? Or, yeah, 100 people at like $5,000, or it was 150, I think it went up to. They found more. I think it was like, we worked out to be over 750 grand he would have made out of just that, just asking for people to pay to work on the site, plus his salary as well. Big bucks, man.
Sorry.
Big bucks. Big bucks. Anyway, yes. Oh, so what I did in that case, so I actually didn't charge the customer extra because I already knew him. And then the plumber was a little bit upset with me and kept telling me like, "Oh, you owe me money, man. You owe me money." Kept asking me all the time, and I did some other work for that plumber as well, and he didn't pay me, and yeah, just shambles. But all right, here we go. So this is another situation. Let's talk about poaching operators. Is it a no-no, or is there certain times when you see poaching as it's allowed? What do you guys think about poaching operators? So I'm talking about like you're working on the site, or you got your machines on the site, and then you notice some other guys on site working in their machines, and they're pretty good, and you say, you know what, I'm going to go over there and talk to them and see if I can sway them to come and work for me. Is that a big no-no, or is that acceptable in some? And what are the different circumstances? Yeah.
Oh, would you be upset if someone did it to you? If
Yep.
you would, then I wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Like just like if you steal an operator and then it comes out like there's guys around Sydney that do it, and then they get known for that. He stole my operator, or and then you got to be cautious around him, and then everyone like will start keeping their distance from you. And then you need someone. You can't use them because people are just that bit cautious. Like, oh no, he steals people. What else does he do? Like, does he pay his staff properly? Does he, is he like it's all? I think it's all a common answer. Like,
Yeah.
everyone getting along and everyone staying in their own lane. Like, there's ways to go about it. At the end of the day, someone can turn around and go, no, it's all fair in love, war, and business. Who gives a fuck? And I guess that could be true, but are you going to be upset if it happens to you? Are you going to be able to cop it if it happens to you? Are you going to be, willing to take being known as that guy who, steals guys, or, goes and approaches guys, or, how much you making an hour on this job? Like, what are you getting for your machine? Just go, just I signed a contract. Just I stay in my lane, you stay in yours.
Yeah.
I'll be totally honest. I used to be a bit like that. Oh, you should come work for a company. Like I've never, since I've owned my own business, I've never done it. But, I've done it before. And then, 10 years ago when I was working for other people, and I kind of thought about it, I was like, oh, I don't want to be that kind of person, because I would hate it if guys, because I want to put someone on maybe this year, start of next year, and I want to look after them and grow them and, help them be the best. I'd get upset if someone said, "Oh, here's an extra $5 an hour. You want to come work for me? How much is he paying you? How much is he paying you super? Is he, what? I'll give you. He's giving you a single cab. I'll give you a dual cab. I'll give you tolls and fuel and all this.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a battle of it's a battle of being moral or having morals, or being totally business oriented and having no emotion. You know, so it's like a bit of a battle, I think. So, yeah, it can be a bit hard. It has happened to me, so I know how it feels. Yeah, more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you rest of you boys reckon?
Well, considering that my young guy that I had working for me got poached, wow, I don't know if he approached one of the civil companies down the road or if they approached him, but he got poached from me a little bit. I wasn't overly bothered. I mean, it just so happens, I mean, the situation was a little bit different. I was getting a little bit lean on machine work. So I was doing a lot of assessment work for council. So it kind of it didn't work out too badly. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have that much of a problem with it. But I guess I sort of swim in slightly different waters out here with what we do. It is a little bit, I think it is a bit, it can be a bit affronting when, you know, someone like you've invested a lot of time and money and energy and effort into someone, and then you've got someone else sniffing around while, you know, because the person you've put time and money into is starting to develop and pay off and do well. And I think that's a pretty vulnerable time. I don't really have a problem with it because I would certainly entertain it if I found someone on site that was, you know, quite good looking after their equipment and everything else, and you know, doing quite a good job. But I don't really actively go out. I haven't ever actively gone out and sort of recruited someone that way. I've never been
Yeah.
put in the situation, so it's probably not the easiest question for me to answer. I don't
Yeah.
feel as strongly about it as I do about the whole, you know, notifying, you know, at least giving someone a bit of a heads up about, hey, you know, I know you've worked with this person for years situation. So I don't feel as strongly about it, but maybe ask me that if I've got a couple of people and my business is really hinging on having those people there to, you know, turn over money and then have someone
Yeah.
else come sniffing around. I'd probably have a different opinion then.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. That's true. What about yourself, Jacko?
So I've actually been on the other foot of that. I've been a culprit of jumping ship for some extra coin, and it didn't work out. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. So I think, and I was 19 maybe at the time, I reckon. So I sort of think it probably comes down to the type of person that the person being poached is. Are they just going for money? Are they got one foot already half out before the old mate comes and sees them? Like, if you're not happy with something, you need to speak up and try and change it. You know, if you want $5 an hour more, fucking ask your boss for $5 an hour. Like, don't just jump ship because old mate's offered it straight off the bat. Like, I think,
Yeah.
I think I did a lot of growing from that whole process. It was the shortest lived ship jumping you've probably ever heard of. I was there for 9 weeks. The bloke was an absolute fuckwit. I hated it there, and I went back to where I come from. So yeah, I think that's probably more to the point.
Yeah. So the grass is not always greener. You're right, man. You're right. Yeah.
It
That's
I
like a
sounds
think
good.
cautionary tale, actually.
What's that?
I was saying, for Jacko, like, you know, Jacko's situation for people thinking of doing it, it is a good cautionary tale. It depends on the reason. Like, what's the motivation behind you leaving? Like, if money's your only driver, then, you know, and you're not bothered about working for someone who, you know, treats you like crap and is an absolute pig to work for, then that's fine. But, you know, if you otherwise like your employer, why wouldn't you try and go and make it work and say, look, I have been offered a job for more money. What do you think? You know, or, you know, if you want better paying conditions, I mean, there's no harm in asking for it. When our young guy, Jacob, was leaving to go to the guy down the road, I had another guy subbing for me, and he was subbing for me on a pretty modest rate and hadn't gone up. And the moment Jacob left, I sort of called him and just said, you obviously know what's going on. I'm leaving the door open for if you want to up your rate, just come to me with what you'd like to go up on. And yeah, we'll have a chat. The door's always open. Well, we can have the conversation anytime because I didn't want to lose 2 people in one hit. So yeah, I sort of got on the front foot with it and just said, you know, because look, knowing what I know now, I don't think he was he wasn't at risk of being poached by anyone at the time or anything like that. But I just sort of, in a way to try and shore up his employment for a while, his help, just to make sure he wasn't going to go anywhere, I sort of just got on the front foot and said, if you want more money, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, that's a good proactive measure, man. Well done, mate. That's good. That's good. I think it also what I also found is that sometimes it comes around full circle. Like I find operators that are or labourers that are looking mainly for money. end up moving, and I often hear that they've moved on again from the guy they've left me for, then moved again, and then sometimes I've actually more than sometimes, a lot of times I've had them call me back in the near future and say, hey, listen, man, would you consider taking me back? Because they've bounced around, and then like what Jack was saying, they've realized like the grass is not always greener because they're just chasing the money, but then they realize the conditions that they had and, you know, the type of employer they had, exactly like what you were saying before. Some of them might end up being pigs or not paying other aspects like super and that, you know. So yeah,
I've
there's
just
a
been
lot
a
to
shit
consider.
bloke in general.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Don't
Exactly.
have to treat you bad. They can just be a shit bloke.
Yeah. You're very passionate about that guy, yeah.
Oh, he was a fucking knob.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. So that shows. You know the worst bit though, what really used to shit me is when I subcontracted to civil companies. So they've called me in to bring my machine in, and I've put an operator in there, and then they poach my operator to go and work on their machines at the same job. And it's like,
that's rude.
that
That
to
is
me is
so
like,
rude.
yeah, that is the worst. And that's happened more than once. Once I actually got so upset that I pulled my machine out off site, and I said, no, I'm taking my machine out. If you're going to be like this and keep poaching my workers, I'm just going to go. So I took my machine out. That's how drastic it was. And they got me that upset. I just said, that's it, it's coming out. Even though I didn't have work lined up, I just got upset and said, we're out today, it's going, it's leaving. And yeah, I can't believe they do it. They have the tenacity to take your operators and use them on the same site for their machines and think that you're going to be all right with it. Crazy. What else? Anything else on that one, gentlemen? On that topic, anything else?
No, it's a hard one.
Yeah, poaching. I suppose it poses the other question. If your operator or labourer is willing to leave you, then what have you done to try and retain those people? You know, are you actually a good boss? Are you actually providing them with what they want? You know, it sort of starts to make you question, why are they willing to just leave? Like you say, it might be just the money, but if you're paying them well enough, maybe they should be actually wanting to stay. If that makes sense.
I just feel like we're
Oh,
heading into a
it's-
bit of a zone lately where we're all worried about how the employee feels. At what point do we pivot there and go, how does the employer feel? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's all right for an employee to come up and have a whinge that his fucking kid didn't sleep last night and he needs fucking 2 days off because his missus cried yesterday. But what about the boss who's got all this money tied up and his kid's not sleeping and his missus is fucking crook? Or like, no one ever asks how the boss is going, and I reckon that's fucked. I'm sick of hearing about it, to be honest. No one ever asks how the boss is, ever.
Yeah, and then some employees that do that will be like, well, that's why you get paid the big bucks, and you're like, am I really? Yeah, it's true. Yeah,
if you put down the hours that you do as a business owner, you know, your hourly rate is much less than most of the guys you put on anyway. Like you're
Absolutely. I
quoting,
agree.
you're on the phone to, you know, you've got to go to the RTA and pay your fees, go pick up shit in your spare time. You've got to do this on the computer at whatever. Oh, I've got to float the machine. Like I was supposed to float the machine tonight and I'm here. Instead, I'll get up at 4 a.m. to float it, just so it's so I can make things work tomorrow. But look, yeah, it's harder being a business owner. Like, and it's so employees can be narrow minded. And like I get it. Like they're still important. Like they're a cog in your business, but you know we're all as important as each other. And just because you're the business owner, I as a subcontractor, I work with other guys on the, you know, other companies, and they've got labourers and guys on the ground, and they go, "Oh, you're making over $100 an hour." Like, yeah, fuel, or you know, repayments,
yep,
insurance. You know,
yeah, all that stuff.
when you
Yeah,
spend $1,000 on a week on diesel compared to, you know, filling up a Mazda 3 for $80, like there's a big difference.
yeah,
And yeah,
absolutely.
it's and then when you're doing 12-hour days, 14-hour days, stressing about, oh shit, am I going to have enough money for this? It's a lot. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It make it.
All
Sorry.
for looking after employees,
Yeah,
and I think it's really good to provide a really good environment. But you know, it'd be great if you can have that conversation with an employee and just go, "Hey, look, you know, I'm doing the best I can here. I want to make this place as enjoyable for you as I can, and I want you to, you know, find your spot in life and how I can make you thrive and
Yeah.
personally and professionally, whether it's buying tickets and licenses and all that kind of stuff. I'm doing this because I love what I do, and I'm trying to build something for myself, and yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
and like with
Yeah,
it's still a transactional thing too. You're still paying them, and if you're doing everything right
Yeah.
and paying them what they could be paid and super and everything else, and providing a safe workplace, and that's free from unnecessary risk and stuff like that, well, you're doing the right thing. And so that's that part where it's transactional, and at the same time too, yeah, there is that thing where I think especially now with the stuff that go like with how divided and how sort of like tribal people get with social media and everything and what it makes people do. Like, you only have to have a couple of people that work for you to have a bitch about you, while they're having a beer. And then, Facebook and Instagram's algorithms will throw up other inflammatory posts that just reinforce that sort of stuff. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're the boss or the employee, like you're all human. Like,
Yeah.
exactly what Jack said. Like, everyone in this chat group now all has kids, and most of us young kids. And like, I'm the employer of people, but, there were times when I had people working for me and, Lara and I were up all night with screaming sick kids and stuff like that. And exactly like, how does the boss feel the next day?
Yeah.
I used to
going?
almost
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I used to almost like not overshare, but I'd just be like, hey, I'd tell the guys when I had a couple of people working for me, like, this is what happened last night. Like, I am rat shit. I need you to, just do this and this for me just so I don't fall asleep at the wheel on the way to the job, or, I need to send you on your way to, look after a job yourself because, I'm crook or tired or whatever it might be. So, I think sometimes people just think, oh, they're the boss, they're rich as, they've got all these assets, like, they can just afford to do whatever they want. They don't have to be here. Like, I've had so many people like that work for companies that we subby to, and similar to Alex's situation where they're not saying, oh, you're earning all this money. They're saying stuff like, oh yeah, one day I sort of want to have my own business too. Like, I want to be like so-and-so's business, the person they work for, because, he doesn't have to go to work every day. I'm thinking, you missed the part where he's been doing it for 15 years and building the business up. And he finally, after 15 years of hard slog, gets the privilege to occasionally take a day off to go hunting or go to his kids', school play or something like that. Like, they don't see the grit that goes in behind the scenes at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds
And
me
having
of
the rain day when you can't work and then you're fucking sweating out the eyes
yeah.
because you're like, oh fuck, well, I'm forced to have a day off now and I'm just screwed.
I remember I was sitting in the truck once with one of my workers and we're driving to a job or something, and I got off the phone and they just cancelled the job for tomorrow. And I was swearing and that, and he's like, oh, what are you always worrying about, man? You're always worried, but you always find work. You're lucky, man. You always get work. There's always something, man, that always comes up, And I said to him, lucky? It doesn't, I'm not lucky. It's just, and it doesn't just mysteriously turn up. It's because I'm making all these freaking phone calls and stressing out to try and find jobs and ringing customers every day and keeping in touch and keeping relationships with other plant hire companies and other subbies. And I said, it doesn't just happen, man. Okay, you obviously see me enough to see how much I'm on the phone trying to get jobs. And so when I stress out when the job's cancelled, it's because I'm trying to keep you busy. So, to cover your costs and that. But yeah, I remember he said that. He said
You're
that
the
to me.
bad guy
Yeah, and he was
for
like,
being
oh,
on the phone all day. Oh,
yeah.
he does this.
Why are you stressing always, man? You always
Yeah.
find something anyway. I'm like, it doesn't just happen by itself. All right, we'll do one more topic because we're starting to get close to time, and I know it's a bit late. So we'll do one more. Which one do I do? Here we
Daylight
go.
savings. It's still daylight out there.
Oh, yeah, is it? I can't see. I'm stuck in my garage. Garage studio. Let's see. I've got. Let's do this one. All right. So we did poaching. We did helping a subby out. Just let's start with this one. All right. So in this situation, you're starting your earth moving business fresh, all from scratch. Do you buy a large machine or a small machine? And for anyone that's only had one size machine, if you could go back, would you have done it a different one? So, yeah, if you've only had the one and you haven't experienced different ones, tell us, what would you have done differently? So, yeah, would you start off with a big machine or a small one? Jack, go start with Jack. He's been a bit quiet. Yeah, we've got to get him revved up. Come on, Jack.
Oh, it's very, very hard to answer because I think that is probably a bit more location based than anything else. Like, if I was to buy a 20-tonner, I wouldn't have done a day's work yet. Like, yeah, I think that's probably a location thing. Yeah, Melbourne and Sydney. Yeah, you've probably got the option, I suppose. Even Queensland now, like Gold Coast and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, around here, I don't think that's that's an area that you can touch on.
I think you're right. Yeah, it does. It sort of depends on what work you want to do as well. Yeah, like what are you going for a niche? Like if you're doing landscaping, you wouldn't go and get a 20 tonner, I suppose. Yeah, so it depends. Yeah. So what about you boys? What do you reckon? Anyone else?
Like the bigger the machine, the more you got to chew like fuck. So I think that perfect size is that 5 tonner that you can chuck in the back of a truck and you can just go. You can do a lot. You can do a house cut with it. You can dig a pool. You can do such and such and such and such to get enough to get you started. It's not everyone's ideal machine, but I think you can. It covers enough to be able to do enough of the jobs. Like it's not going to make you the best money you can make is off those little 1 tonners and 1.7s. The hourly rate is so high and they're just so cheap to run and buy. The initial outlay is so so low.
Yeah, it just depends if your back can take it all. Yeah,
Yeah.
if your body can take it.
Yeah, but it just depends on what kind of work do you want to do? Do you want to be ripping trenches? Do you want to be doing technical stuff? Do you want to be using technical attachments? Or, are you going to eventually, go down the mobile or GPS route? Are you going to go down the, special attachments like what James does, the flail mowing and whatnot? Or are you going to, what, like, there's so many things you can do with excavators and posies and graders and all that kind of stuff. Where do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you enjoy doing the most? What's going to be the right machine for you to do that? But also, what attachments are you going to get? You're going to start off with just a hammer, or you're going to get yourself a set of grabs? Are you going to get a tilt rotator? Are you going to get yourself an auger? Go do piers? Look, it's also what attachment would suit you.
Yeah, so you're probably still leaning more towards like a 5 ton or a 1.7, something like that.
Well, I don't you're not going to get long term work with a 1.7. I don't think so. You might get like a week here or something but Jack's probably the better one to answer that. But I think the 5 tonner stuff you've got, like you can still do the residential work, and you can still, like I work for a client who would have me every day of the year just with my 5 tonner, just send me from job to job. Yeah. I think they're a good size. They're a good, not too expensive. Like I'm on a busy day, I'm burning about 50 litres of diesel. Once you go a bigger machine, that all goes up.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's harder to float. It's harder to, insure, hard to get into some jobs.
Yeah.
But, and I'd love to get an 8 tonner. I'd love to get a 8 or a 15
Yeah.
next.
All right. Good. There you go. What about yourself, James? What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's exactly what Alex said. I guess it's like it's a very open-ended question because it depends on what you want to do. Like I see people that start out with a 1.8 ton machine and they almost finish or get halfway through their business life with a 1.8 ton machine and a mini posi or a little Kanga or something like that. For us, I started, like my first machine was a little 2 ton excavator. It was, I don't know, I think I probably would have, if I could pull everything together and I had the budget for it, I would have liked to have maybe started with a 5 or something like that. But at the same time, as soon as you do a 5 tonner, you've got to, at the bare minimum, put it in the back of a medium rigid tipper, and at the maximum, have yourself a truck and a tag that goes with it and everything else. And it's an expensive outlay. I mean, when I first started, I did that typical new business owner thing of looking at my bank balance with all this money I saved, and I had like, tens of thousands of bucks that I'd saved up and pulled together and sold a ute and financed a new ute and everything. And I only had one chattel mortgage on the business. And I was like, I'm just going to keep it at one chattel mortgage and I'll just spend all my savings and buy my first excavator outright. And I did that. And at the time, it didn't matter too much because I didn't completely clean myself out. And then the next time I went to a 3.5 tonner and I just bought the thing outright as well. And I felt really proud of doing it. It was a secondhand high hour one, but I still felt really proud. But I bled my business of money and had no cash flow there. to weather the times when things got quiet and not as buoyant. And so, yeah, knowing what I know now, like ideally, we live in an area around here where you can buy anything from, like, we've got a number of, large regional towns like Warragul, Druin, and all the towns through the Latrobe Valley and Traralgon, where you could have a mini setup or a mini combo with a 1.8 tonne or a little truck any day of the week, and you could work the rest of your life just doing landscaping work and private work, and pound for pound probably make good money. Conversely, on the other side of it, we have so much, like we're in the heart of dairy farm country here, and we've got just millions and millions of acres of productive farmland. I've got a mate that the first excavator he bought was a PC 360. So he's got a 36 tonner with a farm and a stick rake and ripper and everything, and he just literally just pushes old dead cypress windrows over all the time. And so you can be at either end of the spectrum out here on what machine you get and still get work. But I mean, I guess the more niche or the more further along you get, you start to pigeonhole yourself a little bit, because you got a 36 tonner, then you're looking at a spread deck and a dolly and everything like that to float it. It's a decent float shift every time, whereas like maybe something anywhere between a 3 and an 8, you're right in that sweet spot, of just being able to do almost everything. Jack's Cabelco can get into sites where a 5 tonner can get into because of the boom orientation, but he can still also smash out dam cleanouts and site cuts and stuff like that. And to a lesser extent, you can do that with a 5 tonner as well. Like our 5 that we have, I am envisioning I'll probably stay in that size class for a bit. I don't see myself getting anything bigger for a while. It might just be a case of changing manufacturers at some point and, just trying to build up assets. So it's a pretty open-ended question. But if you were someone that wanted to do a little bit of everything, maybe if you could get the finance to do it, you might look at something anywhere between a 3.5 and an 8 or something like that, and then try and tack on whatever, what other trucks and stuff like that you need to, move the machine around. I mean, you go and get a 2 tonner or a 2.5, you can pull it behind a, beefy enough 4-wheel drive with a plant trailer. I see a lot of people start out like that, and that's how I started.
Yeah. I'll throw a spanner in the works. Somebody asked me this during the week. It might have been during our Sunday live session, actually. Someone was saying they're considering starting out and they're going to start off with a posi track or a track loader. What are your opinions on that? Do you reckon that's doable?
100%.
Yeah. I know guys who just have posies, a couple of guys up here. If you want to be sharp on them, for sure. You want to be able to, do stuff like final trim, and you want to be pretty sharp. But yeah, so there's again, like, what do you do? Do you go and buy the 75 horsepower or 90 horsepower or big sucker like 120, 130 horsepower?
Yeah, or do you get a 30?
Truck.
Do you get a little 30 horsepower? Yeah, like a little PT 30 or something that you can go
They're
down
actually
narrow
the people
spaces.
that make me jealous, those blokes that have just got a skid steer because they've just got one machine, sits in the back of the tipper, just, one man, one machine. That's the fucking dream, I reckon. That's how you make money.
Yeah. My mate Vic, I know a lot of guys might know Vic Webster. He used to have just a tray truck with his posi on there, and he had the Harley rake, and I think he had a what do you call it, a broom, and that's it, and that's all he did. Yeah, that's all he took around, and he was known for being the guy to call when you need a posi, and that's all he had. Yeah, turn up, take the posi off. Sometimes on long-term jobs. So he was on a lot of jobs with me as well. And he was the posi man, yeah, and that's all he had. So, like you say, yeah, I suppose it is doable, yeah, as long as you
It'd
get
still
to
be-
be known as the guy that they call, yeah.
There would still be half a dozen blokes around here that just have that set up now. Like, that's all they do.
Yep,
Yeah.
I reckon every second, almost every excavation business say, I don't know whether it was just a thing at the time where the technology in the minis wasn't quite as up there, so people just weren't buying as many excavators, but like everyone we saw in our local area, it was always the guy with the bobcat and the tipper. Like back in the day before
20 years ago,
posi
everyone
tracks
had
hit the market. Yep, exactly. They'd have they'd have a an S series bobcat, wheeled one.
S150.
If they wanted to get really techo, they'd put the bolt-on tracks on it and everything like that. And it was literally someone with a medium rigid and a skid steer, and so many people built great businesses out of it. So
the excavator, the backhoe out of seat, out of cab operating
Yeah,
attachment.
yeah,
You got to sit out the front of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have, some of them had that, yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, someone did say that. They were saying that they're intending to start with a track loader, and whether it was a good idea.
Good on them.
Yeah.
Good. Look, there's
Absolutely.
people start with graders. People start with. We started with a 20.
Yeah,
Just
true.
depends on, if can you get the work? Is that what you want to specialize in? Sweet. Because that
Yeah.
sort of all comes down to. Like you can go and buy a 100-ton excavator if your balls are big enough.
I think it also depends how good you are, I suppose. Yeah, if you're gonna buy a machine, you also got to be good at it. Otherwise, no one's gonna call you. It's no point getting something that's really fiddly. If you're going to have to work in little tight spaces and that with a machine, it might be better off just getting a big machine so you're out in the open and you can't do that much damage. Who knows? There's different
think,
things to that.
Looking back at me journey, if you want to call it that, over the last 11 years, one thing you should never say is never say never, because I was never going to have a tandem tipper. I was never going to have an 8-tonner. I was never going to have a tag trailer. I was never going to have GPS, and I was never going to have a tilt hitch. And I've had it
Yeah.
all, the whole lot.
Yeah. Very true. Well said. Yeah, never say never. That's what we're going to call this episode. Never say never, and the grass is not greener. That's what
Not
we're going to
always.
say.
Not always.
Yeah.
We can't wait for ADM. It's pretty green over here. Just putting that out there.
There you go. There's a bit of a call out there, guys, if you're looking for work next year.
Yeah, I'll probably, when the new machine comes, probably throw, I don't know, I'm open to throwing someone in it if they're up for it.
There you go. Good. Very good, man. Very
I think
good.
the biggest thing as an employer you probably need to know is that if you want to, you either want the money or you want the experience. I don't think you get both in one go. And that's what I learnt when I jumped ship. I could drive a digger. There was no opportunity to have a go at anything else where I went.
Yeah. I suppose that's what does that job give you, variety? Can you go in other machines and do stuff? Is your boss a good bloke? If he doesn't pay you the best, does he shout your lunch every day? He might take you out often. He might give you a nice clean machines. There's other aspects to it as well. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The first civil employer I worked for, I stayed with them for as long as I could, and because they had us on a decent EBA, they looked after us quite well. They, were quite reasonable. They put us on a variety of machines. We got a really well-rounded experience because the company I worked for did all aspects of infrastructure, civil construction and infrastructure maintenance. So, you'd be in a skid steer for a bit, you'd be asphalting for a bit, you might be going and doing crushed rock shoulders, you might be doing storm damage and storm recovery, out on the roads in the middle of the night and stuff like that. Or, I spent a lot of time floating machines and, and driving the black trucks and everything like that for the asphalt. So you just got like a nice range of experience. They put a lot of us through our Cert 3 in civil while we were there. Didn't mean we had to leave work or go to classes or anything. They're just like, you're here working and learning, we'll put you through your civil traineeship and everything. So there are all those things that made it overall, a pretty good place to work. And, they're the sort of employers that, I'm obviously doing my own thing now and having my own journey, but some of the things that helped me along the way, build my business, I credit them to sort of teaching me. And and just sort of, and if I run into anyone from that company, including like the owner's son and everything like that, if, every time I've told them, what I'm up to, they're genuinely happy for me, and quite stoked. And that's really, really nice. That's why I sort of say to so many people, go and try, with these guys if you're looking to get in and everything, because, they were genuinely good people that did the right thing by me.
Yeah. You actually made me think back a bit then. I was thinking the same thing. I actually used to involve all my employees in the machines that I bought. So nearly all the machines that I updated, it was because either the employee was saying, hey, man, the machine's starting to get a bit old. We should you should probably start looking at another one. Or I'd say, all right, let's go. So they'd come with me to the dealership. They'd sit with me while I'm negotiating, sit in the machines, test them out. Even when I bought my 14-tonner, the guy came with me. He was the first one to jump in. I don't think I christened any machines. All the operators got in there first and had to go, and they actually came with me. And even when I bought my 14 instead of a 20, that was because the employee was saying, I'm a bit sick of just sitting in the 20 all the time. Maybe you should look at doing something else. And so, yeah, if you listen to your workers and that, they'll appreciate you a lot more too.
It.
They're
they
buying
buy into your vision and what you're trying to do. And
Even
They're
the,
happy to sit on it. Who gives a
even
fuck?
the cat, I bought the cat because my operator was saying, man, you should try the cat. My old boss had one because I was, always about Kubotas, and he was like, try the cat, man. Trust me, it'll be really good. You'll be happy. So we went to go have a look at one and ended up buying it on the day. I was like, have a seat. What do you reckon? He was like, oh, this is awesome. All right, done. We're buying it. He was like, yeah, you got to have him invested in it as well, So anyway, that's good. Good conversation. Gents, is there anything you'd like to add before we finish up?
I like sort of doing these because especially if it's something that some of your newer members or the business class members or some people that are new to operating or new to the industry or just want to know more or want to go it on their own, want to know these sort of things, then it's good to hear the perspective from other people that may have lived and breathed it. So,
Yeah.
talking what you're talking about like the amount of hours you do. Yeah, I was just thinking before when we were having the conversation, it's like after this, I've got the luxury as a business owner of either staying up for another couple of hours doing a tender response that I may not get, or I can choose option 2 and get up exactly the same time as Alex is getting up at about 4:30 a.m. Nice little sleep
Call
in,
me, brother.
and go and knock that out before going to site and freezing my butt off because I'm doing assessments at the moment. The wind's cutting right through me like a knife, and
Yeah.
I just think sometimes it's like the hours that you put in. And my wife says it. She's like, there's parts of it that I enjoy. Like I love looking at new machines and technology and everything like that. It's still part of work. And same thing. Like I don't particularly like having to sit there and do a tender response just to try and get more work and put it on the table, put food on the table. It's not work you're getting paid for. And that can feel a bit soul crushing sometimes. Like sometimes it's great when you get the work and you win it and you see the reflection of your efforts. Sometimes it can also feel a bit soul crushing and a bit tiring when you're just constantly campaigning for work and you may not necessarily get it or it doesn't come off the way you'd like it. It can be tough.
Yeah. No, I hear you. And I'm sure a lot of people do, man. I'm sure a lot of people do. We seem to have lost Jack. All right, what I'll do, I'll just call it here and we'll go. Thanks for taking part. If anyone has any topics they would like us to cover in the next panel, or you want to be a panel member, send me a message and we'll speak. If you haven't already done so, make sure you're following Earthworks Hub on all the platforms. Go to the website www.earthworkshub.com.au for more information, and I will see you on the next episode. Take care, guys, and thank you to all the guests as well.
See you guys.
No worries. See you guys. Pleasure.
Yeah,
For trucks, obviously. On the lot.
he became steel resistant.